Okay, let's unpack this a bit. When we talk about relationships, we hear so much advice. Build trust, find shared interests, common goals. But what if the real foundation is, well, something we're often taught to hide, something that feels completely counterintuitive to being strong? Today, we're doing a deep dive into some sources that explore this hidden power of emotional vulnerability, how it forges true connection, intimacy, and even healing.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is how this material, it challenges our whole notion of strength in a relationship. It really does. It suggests that opening up those most fragile parts of ourselves, that can actually lead to profound growth and to something the sources call mutual realization.
Mm.
So our mission today really is to explore why we fear vulnerability, what it truly means, and well, how it becomes the path to deep, lasting love.
Okay, so let's start with that common idea, strength, right? In relationships, society often tells us strength means, building walls, being super self-reliant, keeping emotions locked down tight, never showing weakness. That's how a lot of us try to protect ourselves, isn't it?
It is, exactly. We think if we don't show any cracks, we can't get hurt. But the paradox here, the one these sources highlight, is that real strength in a relationship, it actually begins when you let yourself be emotionally vulnerable. It's a total flip. Vulnerability isn't presented as weakness or like neediness. No, it's framed as courage. The courage to show up as you really are, fears, pain, doubts, all of it, no mask. And that openness, that's what creates the genuine connection, the intimacy. It's about being brave enough to be truly seen.
That's a powerful way to reframe it. Courage, not weakness. So if vulnerability is that powerful, why is it so, well, rare? Why do we resist it so much, especially in our closest relationships?
That's the core question, isn't it? And the sources, they really dig into this. They talk about deep subconscious fears holding us back. We're talking about the fear of rejection, obviously, but also the fear of losing control or feeling completely powerless if we open up. It often goes back to early experiences, like maybe learning as a kid that showing need led to being ignored or abandoned. So you build this subconscious defense. But the sources are pretty clear. You really can't build a strong, authentic relationship without passing through what they call this gate of vulnerability. It's like an essential step.
Hmm. The gate of vulnerability. I like that. Makes me think about how people spend years building other things, careers, skills, earning money. Like they mistakenly believe these external things will somehow buy them love and respect in their relationships. We see that all the time.
We do, and the sources address that directly. They make it really clear that relationships, well, they work on completely different principles than, say, the marketplace or your career. Society might value money or status, but the actual currency in relationships. According to these sources, it's things like trust, emotional openness, acceptance. Those are the real assets that chase for external validation. It often comes right back to those subconscious fears we mentioned, feeling like you're not enough without the job title or the bank balance.
Okay, so if vulnerability is the true currency, how does this connect to the deeper stuff, like love and actual healing? Because that feels like where the real magic happens.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting, as you say. The sources argue that acceptance, specifically acceptance through love, is the only path to genuinely healing old wounds. We're talking about old pain, fear, those deep subconscious programs like anxiety about abandonment or feeling unworthy, the things that keep us feeling weak or emotionally unstable. And they make a pretty bold claim. You can't really heal without love, and you can't fully accept someone or be accepted without true unconditional love. Real intimacy, as they describe it, is born when two people bravely allow themselves to open up, to share their fears, their old emotional hurts, hidden traumas, the pain they usually hide. It's not just about being understood intellectually, it's about allowing your partner to gently, carefully touch those really tender places inside you, the ones you maybe even hide from yourself. And crucially, being brave enough to step into their vulnerable spaces too, holding that trust.
Wow, that's incredibly deep. And that leads us to this specific concept you mentioned from Andre and Amy Coben in the sources, mutual realization. They call it a sacred process. What is that exactly?
Yes, mutual realization. It's presented as this very intentional step-by-step journey, almost like a shared spiritual practice within the relationship. The idea is both partners commit to opening up their true selves, healing together, and evolving to a whole new level of connection. So the process might involve, say, consciously recognizing a hidden fear, like maybe a fear of failure, then taking the really courageous step of sharing that specific fear with your partner, letting them see it without judging. and then together exploring how acceptance and love can start to heal the psychological wound underneath that fear. This mutual vulnerability, shared back and forth, is what leads not just to profound intimacy, but to self realization for both people. They discover more of themselves through the relationship. And the Cobins, they contrast this sharply with, our modern world of social media masks, shallow chats, and quick fix relationship hacks. They basically argue this vulnerable path is the only way to build something truly deep and lasting, something that actually fosters growth.
That really paints a picture of transformation, doesn't it? So, summing this up,
Hmm.
when you find the courage to be vulnerable, you're essentially opening the door to relationships that feel alive, deep, and genuinely healing.
Exactly. That's the consistent thread through all these sources. Emotional vulnerability isn't the weakness we're taught. It is. Instead, it's this powerful active force. It's courageous. And it shapes real love, real partnership. True relationships, they suggest, really begin right at that point where you dare to open yourself up fully. And love gets built moment by moment through the courage to meet each other right there where it hurts.
So, for you listening, what does all this mean? We've explored how this courage, this willingness to be vulnerable, isn't just some personal quirk. It's maybe the very foundation for healing, acceptance, and really profound intimacy.
Yeah. And maybe a final thought to reflect on. Consider what hidden strength you might actually unlock if you dared to let the mask slip just a little and reveal more of your true self in your relationships. How might embracing that vulnerability transform not just your connections with others, but maybe even your own journey of self discovery, of self realization? Something to think about.